A devastating earthquake of 7.8 on the Richter scale hit southern Turkey in the early hours of February 6, 4:17 a.m., with epicenter in the Pazarcık district of Kahramanmaraş province. The earthquake affected the neighboring provinces of Adıyaman, Kilis, Osmaniye, Gaziantep, Malatya, as well as Şanlıurfa, Diyarbakır, Adana, and Hatay, where around 13.5 million people reside, including around 2 million Syrian refugees. According to WHO, the affected regions in Turkey and Syria are home to around 23 million people, including 1.4 million children. Many aftershocks followed the earthquake, and a second major earthquake hit the region after 9 hours with 7.5 magnitude, causing serious further damage and destruction of damaged buildings. According to the latest official statements from Türkiye, 17,134 people lost their lives and 70,347 people are injured. There are 11,302 reports of collapsed buildings, of which 6,444 have been confirmed. In Syria, already wrecked by more than 11 years of war, it is reported that more than 3,162 people have been killed. The death toll is expected to rise as rescue workers and residents have been searching frantically for survivors under the rubble of crushed buildings. Due to risk of further damage as a result of aftershocks, people are not able to go into their houses, therefore staying outdoors in the cold and rainy weather. As of noontime on February 9, a total of 30,360 people had been evacuated from the disaster area. Hatay is one of the most severely affected provinces in Turkey according to the latest updates, with multiple major buildings collapsed, including Antakya and Iskenderun public hospitals, AFAD premises, Directorate of Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, and Gendarmerie headquarters. The airport runway is damaged, causing problems for airplanes to land. At the end of the fourth day, rescue teams are preparing to leave the area. Earthquake response and coordination is still limited in Hatay, where people are in urgent need of life-saving assistance. Support to Life (STL) has been operational in the affected provinces of Şanlıurfa, Diyarbakır, Adana, and Hatay provinces since 2013, providing protection and livelihood support to refugees and host community members. Being provinces heavily populated by Syrian refugees, STL has been running community centers in these provinces, including one in the Narlıca neighborhood of the Antakya district of Hatay. The site of newly constructed apartments collapsing in the earthquakes that hit Turkey has sparked anger. The BBC examined 3 new buildings, turned to rubble, to find out what they reveal about building safety. 2 major earthquakes measuring 7.8 and 7.5 on the magnitude scale flattened buildings of all kinds and killed thousands of people across southern Turkey and northern Syria. But the fact that even some of the newest apartment blocks crumbled to dust has led to urgent questions about building safety standards. Modern construction techniques should mean buildings can withstand quakes of this magnitude. And regulations following previous disasters in the country were supposed to ensure these protections were built in. In the first of 3 new building collapses identified by the BBC, social media footage shows people screaming and running for cover. The lower half of an apartment block in Malatya is seen crumbling, leaving the remainder standing at an angle over dust and rubble. The apartments were newly constructed last year, and screenshots have been shared on social media showing an advert saying the building was completed in compliance with the latest earthquake regulations. All materials and workmanship used were first-class quality, the advert claimed. While the original advert is no longer available online, screenshots and videos of it circulating on social media match similar adverts by the same company. The recent construction means it should have been built to the latest standards, updated in 2018, which require structures in earthquake-prone regions to use high-quality concrete reinforced with steel bars. Columns and beams must be distributed to effectively absorb the impact of earthquakes. But the BBC has not been able to verify the construction standards used in this block. Photographs show that another recently built apartment block in the port city of Iskenderun was largely destroyed. The side and rear of the 16-story building collapsed entirely, leaving just a sliver of the block standing. Responding to the BBC, Mr. Altus said, "Among the hundreds of buildings I have built in Hatay, the southern province, which has Antakya as its capital. Unfortunately and sadly, 2 blocks have collapsed." He adds that the earthquake was of such a vast scale that almost no buildings in the city survived intact. "We painfully witness how some media organizations are changing perception and picking scapegoats under the guise of reporting," he said. With so many buildings having collapsed across the stricken region, many in Turkey have been asking questions about the nature of the building regulations. Although the quakes were powerful, experts say properly constructed buildings should have been able to stay standing. The maximum intensity for this earthquake was violent, but not necessarily enough to bring well-constructed buildings down, says Professor David Alexander, an expert in emergency planning and management at University College London. In most places the level of shaking was less than the maximum, so we can conclude out of the thousands of buildings that collapsed, almost all of them don't stand up to any reasonably expected earthquake construction code. Failure to enforce building regulations. Construction regulations have been tightened following previous disasters, including a 1999 earthquake around the city of Izmit, in the northwest of the country, in which 17,000 people died. But the laws, including the latest standards set in 2018, have been poorly enforced. In part, the problem is that there's very little retrofitting of existing buildings, but there's also very little enforcement of building standards on new builds, says Professor Alexander. The BBC's Middle East correspondent, Tom Bateman, spoke to people in the southern city of Adana who said one collapsed building there was damaged 25 years ago in another quake, but was left without any proper retrofitting. Countries such as Japan, where millions of people live in densely populated high-rise buildings, despite the country's history of severe earthquakes, show how building regulations can help to keep people safe in disasters. Construction safety requirements vary depending on a building's use and its proximity to areas most at risk of earthquakes, from simple strengthening, to motion dampers throughout the building, to placing the entire structure on top of a giant shock absorber to isolate it from the movement of the ground.